Sabina ay mayroong 26 na alleged na Chinese maritime militia at sa Ayungin ay meron namang 4. So in total there are 30 Chinese maritime militia anchored dito sa mga vicinity na to. Ito ay nagpapakita rin na hanggang ngayon ini-ignore nila ang ating legal ownership ng exclusive economic zone natin sa Ayungin Chot.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
The Philippine Coast Guard is confirming the presence of at least 30 suspected Chinese maritime militia vessels in Sabina and Ayungin Shoal in the West Philippine Sea. Here's what we know. In its maritime domain awareness flight on Tuesday, a PCG aircraft spotted at least 26 vessels in Sabina Shoal, while around 4 were also spotted in Ayungin Shoal. According to PCG spokesman Commodore J. Tariela, their aircraft received radio challenges both in English and Chinese from the Chinese Coast Guard when it entered Sabina Shoal's airspace. Let's listen to the radio communication from the Chinese Coast Guard vessel. The PCG said they replied to this radio challenge and ordered the Chinese vessel to leave the area, highlighting that the MDA is being conducted over the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone.
Aside from the radio transmission, passengers of the Philippine Coast Guard flight also received a roaming text alert that read, "Welcome to China." It is said that such an advisory is usually received by travelers entering China, but this particular message was broadcast inside our exclusive economic zone. The recent development comes after the February 6 incident in the Ayungin Shoal when a Chinese Coast Guard flashed a military-grade laser light toward the PCG vessel, which was supporting a rotation and resupply mission of the Philippine Navy for BRP Sierra Madre.
Here to share with us his insights on the ongoing maritime row in the West Philippine Sea, we have with us retired Rear Admiral Romel Ong. Good evening. Welcome to the big story, sir.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen.
Magandang gabi po. And as you know, recently, to start off the year, in fact, President Marcos spoke to the Chinese leader Xi Jinping directly about having a better relationship. That would include the situation in the West Philippine Sea. But in all objectivity, just looking at the skirmishes, the events, the episodes, however you want to call it, in the West Philippine Sea, have things actually gotten worse since that meeting?
Actually, hindi naman. They're just being consistent with their maritime strategy dito sa East Asia, particularly dito sa South China Sea, which affects us. They want to establish sea control dito sa waters in the South China Sea. So regardless of yung diplomatic actions natin among our leaders or even among our diplomatic officials, this will continue.
But when you say, sir, that they're just being consistent, I mean, maybe as civilians, we're not used to seeing all of these things, but it seems to us that we're hearing more and more of these incidents. Are you saying, when you say that they're just being consistent, that actually these things have been happening, that what we're reading about these past few weeks are all par for the course?
Yes. Whatever is discussed at the diplomatic table does not affect yung situation on the ground. Their intention is to establish sea control nga ng South China Sea. So they use their Navy, their Coast Guard, their militia, kumbaga to establish yung positions nila doon sa ating dagat. Unfortunately, kasama rito sa kanilang interest is encroachment in our EEZ, yung territorial waters and our territorial waters.
Okay, speaking of a situation on the ground, 30 militia vessels spotted in the West Philippine Sea. Gaano katagal na po kaya ito? What do we expect from here on? Is this number going to increase? And what do we do there? I mean, with our fleet?
Okay. So far kasi kulang yung response natin eh. If we stick to purely maritime surveillance and putting a spotlight on their activities through international media and local media, that is not enough. Ang labanan kasi dito, physical presence parang basketball. Hindi pwede yung team mo nandun sa bench, yung kalaban mo nandun sa court. It doesn't, kumbaga, if you play by basketball rules, forfeited yung game. So we need to we need to put our team doon sa court, yung analogy ron. So that means we need to establish physical presence. Tapatan natin yung presence nila doon sa West Philippine Sea. Otherwise, it is, kumbaga, uncontested na. We are virtually giving away our seas.
Apa. So are you saying, sir, basta kahit may isang pato tayo diyan, kahit papaano, that's already presence. Hindi kailangan tapatan ng number of vessels.
Of course, yes. Obviously, numbers, importante yung numbers, but it's a start. If we have one there or two there, that would be sufficient for now to establish yung interest natin to protect our waters.
It's a start, sir, to start with smaller numbers, but the reality is it's also a limitation. What else can we do?
We need to develop our capability. That's playing the long game. Right now, ang response natin would be limited by our resources. And we all understand and we all know that. So, at the end of the day, pa rin capability development pa rin ang long game mo dyan, ang strategy mo.
Okay. Having joint maritime patrols with with Japan, with US, with Australia, if we put those vessels there, wouldn't that escalate the already rising tension in the West Philippine Sea?
No, I think it will de-escalate. Kasi right now, as I said earlier, it is uncontested. Kumbaga, China is able to pursue an aggressive posture South China Sea without anybody else checking yung nila activities. This will sort of, kumbaga, this will put balance into everything doon sa waters natin, tsaka sa South China Sea. Right now, it is off balance. Kumbaga, everything is, yung preponderance of force nasa China lahat.
And with that, would you say that you agree with the foreign policy of the current government?
Yes, that's been, to me, that's a very good strategic move. We need to work with our allies, US, and also with our strategic partners, yung other countries, like-minded democracies like us, to address this problem. Hindi ito problema ng Pilipinas lang. It's a regional concern.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. Maritime security expert and former Vice Commander of the Philippine Navy, Romel Ong. All 4 passengers of the ill-fated Cessna plane that crashed on the slope of Mount Mayon are dead. Rescuers finally reached the crash site and confirmed the sad news. Here's the report.
After days of searching, rescuers were able to locate the passengers of the Cessna plane that crashed on the slope of Mayon volcano. But the sad news is,
nag-ship na po tayo from rescue to retrieval. Bakit po retrieval? Kasi nakita na po yung site. Wala naman pong may buhay na doon.
the challenge now is how to get the bodies down considering the difficult terrain of Mount Mayon. Responders are now studying whether to carry the bodies down or have a helicopter pick up the remains once the weather improves.
Kahit napuntahan na po yun, hindi po ganun kadali ibaba. Kasi alam naman po natin, kahapon pinakita natin gano'ng kahirap ang terrain. Pero in-expect namin, mamayang gabi siguro nandito na yun. Kung sakali man, pero hindi pa namin alam kung saan part ibababa.
Those who died in the crash are Captain James Crisostomo and Joel Martin, who are both employees of the Energy Development Corporation or EDC, and two Australian consultants, Simon Chipperfield and Carthy Santana. Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines is still investigating the incident. Kaap wants to know why the Cessna plane deviated from its flight path.
We did not expect na pupunta po sa Mayon, pero naman talagang established flight path sa mga ganyang operations. In this case, BFR o visual flight ang ginamit. Yung instruction po ng aming air traffic controller na mag-report 20 miles out. Ang problema po, after that, expected na dapat mag-report si piloto, hindi nakapag-report, kaya nagkaroon ng declaration na distress phase.
Philippine Army personnel are now stationed in Kamalig in case rescuers are able to bring the bodies down tonight. Arian Kalumbiran, We Are One News.
Right after the break, the MTRCB welcomes proposals to expand its regulatory oversight to possibly including streaming services. The details when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're watching the big story here on One News.
Should the MTRCB expand its mandate and cover streaming platforms like Netflix? This was discussed in the Senate today.
But before that, there was also quite a discussion on the Hollywood film Plane. Mayan Los Baños with the report.
I stand with No, pumapalakpak ka. Bawal dito. This is my hearing.
Senator Robin Padilla lost his cool during a Senate hearing this afternoon when the discussion centered on Hollywood film Plane. In the hearing, Senator Grace Poe argued that films like Plane are only fictional and should not be banned just because they hurt some of our institutions.
Meron naman tayong mga pantapat dyan. At katulad nga na sinabi nyo, itong si 300 na aktor dito sa pelikulang Plane, meron din siyang ginawang London Has Fallen, o parang gano'n na pelikula. Akala mo parang mga inutil rin yung mga security forces dyan sa UK, di ba? But that's not necessarily true.
Directors Guild of the Philippines President Edward Maley applauded Poe's statement, but Senator Padilla was offended.
Maaring sa iyo, nakakapalakpak kayo. Pero kami, sa mga Muslim, hindi kami kailangan magpapalakpak. The Muslims will never accept that this movie.
The Directors Guild of the Philippines earlier released a statement opposing the movie's ban, saying it should be allowed in cinemas to invite open debate among viewers. MTRCB Chairman Lala Soto Antonio said her agency has immediately contacted the film's distributor over Padilla's concerns, but she clarified that they do not have to ban the film anymore as the distributor voluntarily pulled the movie out.
It means you will not be able to watch it anymore in the country because, again, I reiterate, I'm glad that the distributor was very cooperative.
Also during the hearing, senators also discussed supposedly pornographic content of some videos on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and other online platforms. Poe complained about YouTube having a lack of representatives here in the country to answer the complaints about its content.
Paano natin yan mapipigilan? Meron bang direct communication ang YouTube office dito sa Pilipinas o lahat or wala?
Sa kasalukuyan po, wala po kaming access. But we will assert kapag kinakailangan.
The MTRCB says it supports bills to expand its mandate to cover subscription video on-demand service providers like Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max or Viva Max. While they admit that they could not monitor all movies in these platforms, they can at least address complaints.
Hindi po ibig sabihin na kapag kami po ay humihingi ng expansion to our mandate as to the scope, ay ire-review ang lahat ng mga online streaming na pelikula. Wala po kami sinasabing ganon. That is humanly impossible for us to do. What we want is a form of monitoring when we can just post-review sa pamamagitan ng pag-entertain ng mga concerns.
Soto Antonio also revealed that a memorandum of agreement has been signed between the agency and Filipino streaming platform Viva Max. Under the agreement, Viva Max vowed to conform to MTRCB's classification system as they continue to self-regulate. A liaison officer will also be assigned to receive any complaints from the MTRCB. Soto meanwhile clarifies that they do not wish to cover user-generated content on YouTube and other platforms like TikTok. But if these will be placed under their mandate, then the agency would need additional manpower and budget. For some groups, there is no need to expand the coverage of MTRCB, and what should be encouraged instead is self-regulation.
Dapat talaga buwagin na yung MTRCB. Our position is to leave it as is. If we're talking about Philippine values, I think one of our major values is freedom of expression, and it is in the Constitution, which it is in the constitutional Bill of Rights.
But Soto Antonio defends the importance of the MTRCB to make sure that Filipino values are being promoted in movies and TV shows. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
Right after the break, we'll speak with Gilas Pilipinas coach Chot Reyes on their highly anticipated match against Lebanon tomorrow to cap off their campaign for the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. That when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching the big story here on One News. Gilas Pilipinas is looking to get payback from Lebanon in tomorrow's game. And with that, we have head coach Chot Reyes over Zoom to talk to us about this final stretch of the World Cup qualifiers. Good evening, Coach. Maraming salamat sa inyong oras.
Hi, Gretch. Good evening, Robbie.
Hi, good evening, Coach.
Coach, game na po tomorrow versus Lebanon. Do we have our final 12? And can you give us the names?
Yeah, we just released it. I think the FIBA team managers meeting is ongoing as we speak. They're checking all the names, checking all the passports and all the paperwork to make sure that everyone is eligible. I don't know if I'm at liberty to divulge the names at risk of preempting that kasi they have to check it first. So maybe we have to wait a little bit more.
Ito na lang, Coach. Few months left till the FIBA World Cup. What is your honest assessment of where the team is right now?
Well, as you know, we have a few manpower issues with our bigs. Japet Aguilar is injured and Kai Soto has decided not to play. So that's a big blow to our front line. And the other bigs that we have in our depth chart, hindi pwede, like Raymond Almazan, for example, because Meralco has games. Poy Eram himself is injured as well. So we're just making do with the players that we have right now at our disposal. And that's why Mason Amos is going to have we're giving Mason Amos a good look as well as Kevin Kiambao kasi they're the only bigs that are left in our lineup. Na decimate talaga yung front line natin. But other than that, in our other places, in our other positions and spots, we're pretty good, we're pretty solid. Players have been practicing very well, so we like our chances coming in. Yun lang talaga, meron lang talagang konting pagkukulang.
Coach, a lot of people, a lot of Filipinos, of course, are very excited for this game. Last year, medyo naisahan tayo nitong Lebanon. But at the same time, yung game bukas, secure na naman yung positions natin sa FIBA World Cup. Anong mindset ng team? Anong mindset nyo? Is there such a thing as a no-bearing game for you?
Well, you know that I had gotten into a lot of trouble by saying that in the past, right? So I will not make that same mistake again. We're preparing to really put our best foot forward, and the value for this is we want to see how the new guys will integrate into our lineup as we go all out for the victory. We have Justin Brownlee, Jordan Heading, even Junmar Fajardo is going to be playing with this group for the first time. So there's a few key players that this couple of games will really give us a good chance to take a good hard look at.
Hey, talk about that a bit. Brownlee, the Kraken. What do you see them doing tomorrow, and what do you want to see them doing?
Well, Justin, of course, we know his capability. We just want to know how he's going to fit in with what we want to do as a team and how he's going to fit in with his other teammates. Kasi syempre, iba yung with his regular team, yung Ginebra, kumbaga magkakaamuyan na sila, di ba? Dito natin makikita pa lang if they will be as cohesive as we want. So that's one. That's very crucial because we're looking at Justin to be our naturalized player in some other international tournaments in the future. So malaking bagay yun. And then syempre, si Junmar, coming off his injury, he's been playing well in the PBA. But again, the FIBA game, the international game is very different from the pro game. We want to see also how he will play. This is the first time Junmar is going to play with Scotty Thompson, for example, and Dwight Ramos. So those are the things na gusto natin makita. Playing a game like this where we're playing quality, tough opposition is really the best situation para makita natin for this group of guys to be tested.
Okay, Coach, let's go to the other side. Lebanon will be without Wael Arakji. What are your expectations for Lebanon and Jordan on Monday?
Well, Lebanon beat New Zealand even without Wael Arakji, Saud, and Darwich, three of their mainstays. And Saud and Darwich are playing. They're both here. So si Arakji ang wala. So we have no illusions that this is going to be an easy game. The Lebanon is a very deep, high-quality, well-coached team. They know how to play the international game. They're very, very well-versed. They have a lot of confidence. So we expect this to be a difficult, tough ball game tomorrow. Jordan, on the other hand, is fighting for its life kasi hindi pa sila qualified. They still need, I think, a win or two to formalize their entry into the actual World Cup to qualify. So we know that they're going to come out tooth and nail fighting for their lives. So we have to be prepared for that as well. Kaya, like I said, we were expecting two really tough games, and as a coach, I relish this opportunity to come out and test our mettle against two teams, two real high-quality teams.
Well, we're definitely excited for the games. This is the final window right before the FIBA World Cup. Good luck, all the best, and see you on front court. Maraming salamat, Gilas head coach Chot Reyes, for joining us. And before we go, the National University is looking to dominate another season of UAAP volleyball, which will start this weekend. The details in my report. The NU Lady Bulldogs are out to continue their win streak as the new season of the UAAP volleyball tournament opens this Saturday. All eyes will be on the defending champions as they banner a very intact core this season. NU won their first UAAP Women's Championship last year, ending a 65-year title drought without dropping a single game. But for reigning rookie MVP Bella Belen, the team is hungrier for a back-to-back title.
Sabi po sa amin ni Coach na mas mahirap talaga mag-defend ng crown kasi syempre parang yung teams, ikaw yung gusto talunin. So kami, we're just gonna enjoy the game po and play yung best namin.
As part of their preparation for the new season, the Lady Bulldogs joined local pre-season tournaments and went to Japan for a training camp. Last year's runner-up LaSalle and Final Four teams like Ateneo and UST also joined local leagues for exposure.
I expect na lalaban talaga yung team namin ngayon, and yun nga, pipilitin namin maibalik yung ground sa task.
Season 85 will also mark a new system for other squads. Coach Shaq De Los Santos will be handling UP, Tina Salak will be coaching FEU, and Coach Jerry Yee will be leading Adamson. The UAAP will also revert to pre-pandemic protocols, which means fans can now occupy the patron sides of game venues. Player handshakes and change court are also back. The league will also implement a challenge system in the second round of the tournament. Men's volleyball will also be making a comeback this season after 3 years. The NU Bulldogs will try to defend their men's title and complete a three-peat. The UAAP Season 85 volleyball tournament kicks off on Saturday with Adamson versus UE and Ateneo battling it out with NU in the men's and women's division. You can catch the games on One Sports Plus, UAAP Varsity Channel, Signal Play app, and the Smart Livestream app. Gretchen Hall, We Are One News.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. I'm Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.